So for a quick once around of the things that I've done, I replaced the ignition coil there as the old one had gone bad. I had to clean up the points on the distributor. Plenty of videos on how to do that, but that was an interesting question. I was trying to figure out how I was getting it to crank, but had no spark, so I got in there and the points, there was a little bit of corrosion on the points. So got those cleaned up and they were working great. Fuel pump has been rebuilt as well, and upon testing it, it was pumping nicely. The vacuum advance is not functioning right now, so I'm going to do that in a project down the road. The starter, this was kind of interesting. The starter motor was turning, but this actuator here was not engaging. And so initially, when we first started this up, I just stuck a pry bar on and pushed that in as I was cranking. And then eventually this actuator here began working again as we worked it back and forth. That's the actuator that throws the gear onto the flywheel to turn the motor. So pretty cool. New water pump. That was a pretty simple job to do. The carburetor, I don't know if you see those numbers well. That's a Carter W1 and it's a 382S. And this kind of helped me figure out where this vehicle came from. The 382s were in that 1941, I think 41 to 45 or 46 era trucks. And so that carburetor, I just soaked it in diesel for the summer and then pulled it out and cleaned it up. I probably need to get a rebuild kit, but it was functioning decently enough to run it around the yard, as you could see. No exhaust. That's another project that's got to get done. Probably going to update this generator to a 12 volt system. And then interesting thing about this truck is, as I tried to figure out what it was, the year and everything, I measured the wheelbase. It did not match any of Chevy's charts. And so as you can see, there's a winch here. This truck was set up to haul logs, be like a yarder for logging operation. And on these hills in northern Idaho, the roads are not very forgiving. They're twisty and turny. And so if you notice right there, there's a weld that extends from the top to the bottom on this frame, and it matches on the other side. And so what they did is they actually chopped and shortened this, I assume, to make it around the hills here to yard out timber. So no brake on it, just a transmission brake. You can see that there, and it's the old lever here that functions the transmission brake. The transmission itself, it's the 4-speed with the granny gear in it instead of the 3-speed, and the shift forks and the rods on the forks here were rusted, completely rusted in place. So I had to get the heat torch out, get those out, clean them up, and it shifts decently well into gear. So again, you can see there's the Cherokee stamp for the remanufacture of this motor. The motor is actually in 1954, so that was an interesting bit of education. Now, you can't see it there right now, but right there is where the VIN number would be, and it's a 54 VIN number. So at some point they swapped the motor out and put in a new, at least a rebuilt motor. 4-wheel drive transfer case back here, and I think it's stuck in the low range, so I'll have to read up and figure out how to. I imagine it's one of these two things here that serves as a selector for high range and low range. And So yeah, a lot of work yet to be done, but she drives. Pretty fun.